Welcome, RTO Superheroes, to another episode of our podcast. Today we have a special episode where the tables are turned. I'm thrilled to introduce our guest, Boon-Hollows. Lauren is an educational visionary and a passionate advocate for building better education systems and services. She is the founder of Anywhere Education Services, and she's dedicated to providing quality, compliant, and accessible assessment tools to educators. With a wealth of experience in business coaching, team development, resource development, and RTO compliance, Lauren excels at identifying ways to improve and streamline processes within the educational sector. She is passionate about using education to make a difference, fostering staff engagement, and enhancing business maturity. Lauren is also the driving force behind Learning Lifelines, a not-for-profit organisation aimed at closing the digital divide and providing equal education and economic opportunities. She believes in the transformative power of education. Today, Lauren will be wearing the interviewer's hat and will be asking me about some of the exciting developments and challenges in the VET sector. So without further ado, let's dive in.
Tell us what is happening with Vivacity at the moment.
Okay, so at Vivacity, we're continually evolving to provide the best quality support that we can for the RTO community. And one of the things that we're doing is we're providing a range of training offerings for everyone within the RTO industry. And this includes the recent launch. So we launched at the start of this year, Trainers Professional Development Masterclasses, which is a program designed to equip trainers with cutting-edge skills and knowledge. And that's delivered by our trainer, Samantha Hotham, who's also from Western Australia. So she works as a client liaison officer for us at Vivacity, but also she's a trainer assessor and has lots of experience in delivery of Cert 4 training and assessment, and she's doing all of that. In addition to that, I've been sharing my insights into the 8 critical drivers to RTO success to ensure RTOs are not only navigating compliance, but they're also making sure that they've got that balance with business success. And then, as we've discussed previously, is we're also eagerly preparing for our upcoming Unleashing VET Superpowers Conference in Newcastle this September. This conference is going to shed light on significant topics such as legislative changes, the VET reform, and the transformative role of AI in learning. And we've been putting together an emphasis on the future of vocational education and training. We believe that by keeping our finger on the pulse of all these important changes, we can ensure that RTOs are ready for the future of education.
And Vivacity's always had very much a focus on that kind of balance between compliance, but also really understanding how to run your business, hasn't it? It's kind of been one of the differentiating factors against a lot of other consultants in the area that are very like quality compliance focused. Yours is like, we've got to have quality, we've got to have compliance, but it's also got to be done in terms of just having a really solid business operation.
We can't survive on compliance alone. We need to make sure that we've got successful RTOs. So Vivacity, and it's very much in the name, coaching and consulting, because we don't just consult, we coach. And we have, like all of our members have masterminds once a month where we're working on the business side of their RTOs, and we focus on setting their monthly goals, their quarterly priorities, and their annual priorities. And we have a strategic planning retreat that we do with them as well.
And so with the conference that's coming up this year, you mentioned AI, you mentioned like the future of that. What are some of the things that we can expect to see from the conference? What's the value add for providers that are thinking about attending this? Because obviously, we've got a couple of conferences coming up towards the end of the year. What are some of the really key things that you're hoping that people will be able to take away, from the Vivacity conference?
Oh, yeah. So we've been busily preparing for the upcoming conference, and it's going really, really well. We're in the final stages of confirming our lineup of speakers who will be addressing crucial topics related to the future of VET. We'll also have a dynamic panel discussion promising a vibrant exchange on the strategies and ideas for preparing for the future of vocational education and training. And the conference is titled Unleashing VET Superpowers, Soaring Through Legislative Transformations, Bold Reforms and AI-Enhanced Training for an Empowered Workforce. And it's more than just an event about training and education. It's more about the future of education. It is a call to all involved in the VET sector to seize this moment of extraordinary transformation. The VET sector is going through rapid change at the moment, and it's on the verge of unprecedented changes, in particular with the VET reform, foundation skills, the change of the standards, all of the training products that are going to be changing as well, and how we deliver micro-credentialing. So we want to, what we want to do at the conference is unfold that and look into the future of what it's going to be. So we're going to be equipping our attendees with the knowledge, skills, and connections needed to not just survive, but thrive in this innovative environment so that they're ready to become a driving force to shaping the future of vocational education and training. And one thing that we're really excited about is because with ChatGPT and AI now, we can have more personalised training programs for students that is going to be more connected with their individual needs. So it is a big focus on the conference.
Yeah, and that is the really exciting part of what we're seeing out of the potential of AI is like 5-10 years down the track. The level of individualized support that is going to be able to be provided to learners is over and above what we've ever had capacity to be able to deliver before.
And then combine that with micro-credentialing and what we can do with micro courses that we can then build on that's actually going to be specific, meet the specific requirements of the individual learner, but also for industry sector. So you couple that together, it's just totally going to change. I'm so excited about it.
Yeah. And then on the other side of that, you mentioned a couple of the different frameworks that are going to be changing and things like that. What would you say at the moment are the top kind of 3 issues that are facing RTOs at the moment in light of all of these things? Like if there were kind of 3 strategy areas that we needed to start thinking about and really focusing on, what are those things that RTOs need to be doing at the moment from that like management sort of level?
Yeah, there is so much that is changing, and it can be overwhelming, particularly for, you're trying to run an RTO, trying to meet the compliance requirements, as well as trying to stay ahead of all these constant changes, in particular under the VET reform. So 3 significant issues that I see RTOs currently facing and moving into the future is compliance complexity. With the constant changes in regulatory compliance, RTOs often find it challenging to navigate this landscape. And there is so many things that are going to change in the next couple of years with tech as well. So at Vivacity, we're addressing this by delivering online workshops and masterclasses to equip RTOs with the skills and knowledge they need to navigate that compliance requirements and all of those changes, and in particular changes in training packages, the legislation, micro-credentialing and all that sort of stuff as well. The second one is quality assurance, and that's balancing the maintenance and improvement of education and quality with financial viability. So I've talked about this a lot, the balance between compliance and business success. And it's very significant concern with RTOs because often what they do is they focus on compliance when they've got an audit coming up, and everything else goes out the window. Because there's so much focus on the compliance side. Then they get through their audit and then they focus on business, which unfortunately then compliance goes out the window. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
and that's it. They don't think of like when they're in that moment, it's like, well, I've just got to develop a program. You're like, yeah, but you're developing a program that I've got absolutely no chance of actually running out. Like, you're never going to run that program out because it's super non-viable. It's overly complicated. Your trainers and assessors are going to hate the tools. Like, why develop it 3 times? You develop it the first time without thinking about the compliance factor. You've developed it the second time, not thinking about the business side of it. And eventually you're going to have to come back to a perspective where you're now developed it and you've paid for it to be developed for a 3rd time. Like, let's just get it right the first time, people.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why we came up with the 8 Critical Drivers to RTO Success program, because what we found is that they weren't thinking strategically when they're managing their compliance with how they're running their business. So we have every month we deliver a masterclass on one of the critical drivers. And this month coming up, this week actually, we're doing marketing and sales, and I'm focused on target marketing and who you should be targeting, and who is your ideal client avatar that you should be targeting when you go to looking at your marketing, but also what you're delivering, the training products that you're delivering. We've got financial viability that we're covering in August. And September, we're doing quality and compliance, because that's always going to be an issue and a concern. And then October, industry and networking. And then finally in November, what we do is we cover all 8 critical drivers and prepare them for strategic planning for 2024. So, and that is the big, as you said earlier, Lauren, that is the big difference of what we do compared to a lot of other consultants out there.
Yeah.
The third one is adapting to technology. As the shift to digital learning accelerates, RTOs are grappling with how to adopt this new technology. And a lot of people are afraid of ChatGPT, and they're afraid of AI and how students are using it. What we're saying is embrace that technology whilst maintaining high quality education, and improve your practices with using this technology. Because if you don't, you're going to be left behind. So that's where the conference, we're really focused on these technologies and how it's going to change in the future.
Yeah, and I mean, you're right. There is definitely a lot of fear, and obviously the earliest adopters of this are young people who have kind of gone, "Hey, this is great. I can create something. I can knock out this assessment super quick."
Yeah.
And then you've got trainers that are responding to that, going, "I have no idea what I'm looking for, what I'm looking at."
Yeah.
Whereas once I know you say you guys are using the tool. Once you've used it for a little while, you can pick real quick. Like we get new people coming in all the time and kind of going, "Okay, well, show us your assessment," and we'll read it. We'll be like, "This wasn't written by you. This was written by ChatGPT." And they're like, no. We're like, yeah. Like, question number 1, you don't have Australian spelling, you have American spelling. That's GPT. You haven't bothered to spell check it for Australian. Number 2, like this, there is a style, like, he has a very, I say he has a very specific style of how he writes, like, and how he likes to respond and how he puts the questions. And I'm like, I can be like, dude, this is just super, like, this is him. You haven't edited this at all. Like,
and the thing is, we can quite easily put it back through your answers, back through ChatGPT, and it can tell us whether it's machine written. Yeah,
it's a tool, but this is it. This is like, people aren't understanding that it is just a tool. Like, it's a tool in the toolbox, as opposed to like the be all end all sort of thing.
At Vivacity, everyone on our team uses ChatGPT every day for everything that they do.
Yep, absolutely.
So, and it is the future of workforce. You will be using this as an everyday tool. So we need to incorporate this into our training.
Yeah, and I think what we will start to see is good ways to incorporate it into assessments as well. Like, I would not go out and ask a staff member, if I was in a business now, to write a policy from scratch. No. I would say, okay, go and get it. Like, go and get Google Bard, go and get ChatGPT to write a draft policy, or feed our policy into it, have them fix it, and then you look at it, review it, add in what you need to add in, correct what you need to correct, make sure it's you do the final fix and validation of it. But I'm not going to ask you to write 100 pages from scratch when I know.
Gone are those days.
There's so many other options out there. Like, it is ridiculous. It's going to be interesting to see how training packages adapt to that and take away the kind of, start to take away the development part of it and really more focus on like the editing and verification and updating
and the personalization as well. It's just amazing. Yeah.
So I guess that leads us into the next thing. What are you excited to see happening in VET at the moment? Like, over the next, 5 years, what are the things that you're really excited to see coming out of our industry?
I'm incredibly excited for the whole future of VET and how it's growing, and the recognition that we have now as private RTOs, and how we can adapt our training to meet individual needs. That personalised learning is just going to be amazing. And the push towards innovation and digitization. The surge in technology-enabled learning is creating numerous opportunities for personalised and scalable education. I'm just exhilarated with the shift that we're going to have towards a more learner-centric model, which puts a spotlight on the individual learning styles and outcomes for the student. At Vivacity, we're thrilled to be part of this transformative journey. It's just so exciting, everything that we're constantly ahead of the game and looking at strategies that we can put in place for the future. We're even collaborating with partners such as Accelerate to develop systems that capitalise on the emerging technologies, and we even have Accelerate speaking at our conference as well, and looking at setting the stage for the future where the delivery of training will be revolutionised, where we're not just watching the change, we're actively contributing to it and to the shape of it as well. And for us, it's keeping the RTO community updated and involved. And I have covered several podcasts on AI technology and its impact on the VET sector in my RTO Superhero Podcast series. We are on the cusp of significant change, and it's truly an exciting time in the VET sector.
So, obviously, I think it's natural to say VET is consistently going through change. Yeah. How do you coach RTO owners, trainers, and things like that to be able to adapt to that and not suffer from the change fatigue? And, how do you when you're framing that discussion with them and things like that, what are some of the strategies that you guys do and that you've seen work well in RTOs to kind of to counter and to work alongside of that?
So I think one of the first things is getting them to overcome the fear of it and embrace it. So we've already delivered a number of training. I did a workshop on how to write assessment tools using ChatGPT, and their minds were being blown as I was going through and showing them how to do it. And I showed them how to take the training product, the unit of competency, and the performance criteria and put it into ChatGPT. It's not just a matter of write me an assessment tool. It's taking the unit of competency performance criteria and putting it into ChatGPT and getting it to write things like case studies and knowledge-based questions based on that. And then it's the prompts that you put in and how you feed it into ChatGPT. It's not just a robot that's just going to write everything for you. It doesn't have your experience, your knowledge in the industry sector. So it's you putting your skills, knowledge, and experience in. So how we've been helping is we're showing them how to do it. So it's not just, here is this new tech, you need to do it. It is, this is the steps. This is how you train it. This is how you use it.
This is the interplay that has to happen between you. And these are the types of, these are some of the things that you need to frame it correctly.
Yeah.
And, but you're right. I mean, the case studies and the scenarios that you can pull out and the better level of detail in relationship to charts and financials and graphs and all of that sort of stuff that you can pull out that would have taken ages and ages and ages. I know when we're writing assessment tools, we everything we do is highly contextualized. But the ability to far more easily be able to, come up with a 10-page script between a supervisor and employee and provide a massive background and then a supporting policy in order to abide by it and everything like that. That capacity has shrunk substantially. And I know we're providing probably 20-30% more in relationship to supporting documentation now of here's the character profile and here's an example of a 5-minute interplay, so from benchmarks and things like that. It's just, you can give so much more guts to it now.
Yeah. And what what I also did in the training was I said, you can put your learner cohort in there. Who is your ideal student? And what is their background? What is their language literacy and numeracy levels? And are they existing workers? Are they new entrants? Like, you can put that in. So while you're putting in the training product into it, you're also putting who is your student. So it's really contextualized to meet their needs and industry.
Absolutely. So what is the one thing then that RTOs should be doing at the moment to set themselves up for that type of success?
Yeah. So as we've already been discussing, one crucial action that RTOs need to take right now is to proactively embrace their digital capabilities. This includes exploring and adopting emerging technologies that enable online learning and enhance student engagement and streamline operations. For example, the rise of AI tools such as ChatGPT opens up a new realm of possibilities for flexible, personalised and accessible education for everyone. Furthermore, it's equally important for RTOs to upskill their teams to effectively utilise these tools. So your trainers and assessors and your admin staff, they need to know how to use this within their organisation. The discussions and insights that will be presented at the Unleashing VET Superpowers Conference will further illuminate the need to adapt this technology into your organisation and into the education sector. In the era of digital transformation, like we're at the precipice of change right now, just like when the internet was introduced many, many years ago. It is going to change the way we deliver education, and that we need to embrace it. Everyone needs to embrace it. The success of the VET sector will increasingly depend on how effectively RTOs can leverage this technology to deliver high-quality education and engaging and accessible. As such, now is the time for RTOs to lean into these advancements and make technology a centre pillar of their strategy.
Absolutely. And it's so funny because I was speaking with Ray as part of this interview series as well. He said exactly the same thing as you. He was like, this is exactly the same as when the internet was introduced. He's like, we are living that. We are living that right now. It's crazy to think like how many of these things we have actually lived through.
You know, and I've lived it. You've lived it before. But then we've got young people now who never lived that. They've always had.
They've always had iPhones. They've always had internet. Like we've come from like, wow, the internet was introduced, and wow, iPhones were introduced. Like,
I remember when you could only send emails internally within your organisation, and then we were able to send emails to everyone outside the world. It was just amazing.
Well, and the connecting to the internet, you know, like the. Like, you know, that sound is embedded in my brain, you know, like anyone from our generation kind of knows that sound of like, you know, the connecting to AOL sound, you know, like.
And you turn your computer on in the morning and then go make yourself a cuppa.
Yeah, exactly. You've got mail. And now it's like you've got 387 emails because you've got 24 hours without checking your email. Like,
thankfully, we've got new tech coming in that's going to be able to clean up our emails. But the big thing is now for marketing, and that's a big passion of mine, is marketing. How are we going to be able to connect with people? How are you going to connect with your students? How are you going to connect with the industry sectors now that their inbox is flooded? What are you going to do? So you need to identify strategies to be able to target that audience without using email. So that's going to be hard.
And you know, do you have any favorite tools that you guys are using at the moment for like marketing and, you know, in that area? Like what would be some of your top ones?
So the podcast is just amazing because I'm sharing my knowledge with the community out there. And for me, I love doing it because I love sharing my knowledge because I'm a natural trainer. That's my background. But it is the amount of people who come to us who said that they downloaded our podcast, they accessed our scorecard, they read my ebook, they accessed some of my free training. That's what RTOs need to do right now. They need to do a podcast on your industry sector or education in that industry sector. Join groups on social media so that you're interacting with your target market and you're talking about what's changing in your industry. Not only that, you're learning about what are the challenges, what's happening in your industry sector, and then how you can address it with your training and how you're delivering. Give a free course, do a little sample course of something that you deliver in your RTO, so that people can learn who you are, get trust, so they trust you because you're giving away this free content, but they can also see how you deliver your training and what it would feel like and what it would be like to be a student within your RTO. You need to share that with them.
Yeah. And it is very much video and audio based now, as opposed to the text based, very much in that space.
Yeah. And you need to get out in social media and share that. So more people have got their phone in their hand, reading on here and they're not reading your emails. They're reading your podcasts, or you're listening to your podcast, or reading your post, or looking at your LinkedIn articles. So that's another area that's very popular as well. So we need to change the way we are targeting our target audience, and it's not through emails, it's through a lot of other means. And I even use ChatGPT to write my podcasts. Like they can write the scripts for it as well, and it's learning about my industry.
Yeah, and it learns how you talk as well over time. We tend to do kind of probably like 70-30 with ChatGPT because it is more reliable. But then we anytime we've got to do something of like current, anything post 2021, we bring Bard in, and so we'll then mix the two together. But it does. It learns how you talk over time, and the more you're putting yourself out there. So somebody like yourself, where there's lots to pull from anyway, it learns how to adapt and to mimic you a lot quicker.
And the thing is with writing the podcast, like I just did one recently that came out last Friday on foundation skills. And what I did was I put into ChatGPT the new framework for foundation skills, and also some research that I did. So I put all of that in. So I'm learning as well while I'm putting it in. And then I'm getting it to rewrite. So I'm doing another prompt. And the content that we have now is just so good, because it's real what's happening out there with legislation, but also what we're experiencing, and what like foundation skills is going to be huge. Like we need to be delivering more foundation skills training and incorporating digital learning into our training as well for the future, for our students.
Absolutely. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you very much. Now tell everybody, where can they register for your conference? Where can they find you? Where can they find more information about Vivacity?
Yes, excellent. So they can go to our website, vivacity.com.au. So that's vivacity.com.au. And we have all the conference information on there, and you can register on the conference. Whilst you're there, why not check out some of our free gifts? And we've got the RTO Superhero on there as well that you can download. We've just released our 53rd episode of RTO Superhero, and there's some the next episode coming out on Fridays on micro-credentialing. So I do recommend.
I think it's all like 7,500 downloads or something like that. Was it right? Wow, that's amazing. That's awesome.
Yeah, so it's just gone off. And the feedback I'm getting from it is really, really good as well. And we've also just released last week our new Biz Mastery podcast, which is all about outsourcing and how to delegate to someone overseas, for example, but also the business side of running your RTO, but it's also for all businesses. So
and podcasts are great because you can just, like, I know for me, if I'm cleaning, if I'm cooking, I can just chuck my headphones on and I can just, I can learn as I'm doing, and it's just such a digestible format, Yeah.
And all my podcasts are like no longer than half an hour, so you can do them in little chunks, so much easier. That brings us to the end of this enlightening conversation. I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to Lauren for taking the time to engage with us and explore these pertinent topics. Your insightful questions and thoughtful dialogue have indeed added a unique and enriching perspective to our podcast. Thank you so much, Lauren. To our RTO Superhero community, thank you for tuning in. I hope that this conversation with Boon-Hollows has provided you with some valuable insights and sparked ideas for how you can leverage the power of technology and ongoing innovations to elevate your operations and student experience. As we have discussed today, the VET sector is undergoing an incredible transformation, with new technologies and digital capabilities reshaping how education is delivered. Now is the time to embrace these advancements and equip ourselves with the knowledge and tools needed to navigate this exciting landscape successfully. Remember, it's our collective efforts that will shape the future of vocational education and training. So let's continue to learn, adapt, and innovate together. Stay tuned for more inspiring and insightful conversations here on the RTO Superhero Podcast. Until next time, take care and keep unleashing your VET superpowers.